Hello guys, and thank you for joining me on another exciting episode of Define the Odds with me, Annabelle Kemi. I'm particularly excited about today's topic because there's something I've been researching for quite a while now, and I just felt that until I really understood it and I was able to deal with it as it concerns me as a person, I would not put it out there. Maybe that is my imposter syndrome also still speaking. But anyways, today I will be talking about, as you might have guessed, imposter syndrome. However, before we go on, I'd like for you, if you're watching me on YouTube, to please like, subscribe, and click on notifications for my program so you can never get to miss it whenever it's up again. And also across all other platforms that you listen to me on the podcast, please kindly like and rate my show. This will help the show move forward and gain more traction. Thank you very much. Okay, so studies suggest that over 70% of people might have experienced imposter syndrome at some point or the other in their careers and in their lives generally. And also studies have shown that more women experience the imposter syndrome than men. I don't know how true that is or how accurate that study is, but I know that a lot of people do experience imposter syndrome without even knowing that they've got anything like that. It's not something to be too scared about, but it's also something that limits you to a large extent. It depletes the quality of your life, and it's almost like it's self-imposed. So that is why today I thought it's really important to talk about imposter syndrome, particularly for us women. So it could help us improve the qualities of our lives, our relationships, our friendships, our careers, and also our families. Because when you are dealing with imposter syndrome, it has a way of limiting you from actually being the best you can be. You kind of like become uptight, and you may not give the best of yourself to the world, to the people around you, to your friends. Well, that's what I think, having dealt with imposter syndrome myself and actually still dealing with it. Remember when I started this podcast in February, I said that it was a journey to growth, my own growth, that I thought was important to share with my viewers and many other women out there who might be struggling with the things I struggle with as an average woman living in Nigeria and probably in other parts of the world. Now, what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is basically a psychological phenomenon that kind of reflects a belief that you're not good enough, that you're a fraud, even though everything around you seems to say or suggest otherwise. You notice that you have achieved quite a lot in your life, in your family, your children are doing good, your career, you're really standing out and you're doing well for yourself, but you do not believe that you're that good enough. You tend to feel like you're a fraud. You tend to feel like you're only lucky, and that very soon someone might find out that you are just a fluke. You are probably just winging it and making it simply because someone is looking out for you or the universe is just looking out for you. But the truth is, as much as I know that the universe and God looks out for us, most times it is our hard work, or as a result of our hard work, that we have achieved a lot of things we have achieved as women, considering the level of limitations that burden us. Yes, I said it. The level of limitations that burden us, particularly in this part of the world, in Nigeria, in Africa. So you see that we achieve so much from our efforts, from our hard work, yet we do not believe that we deserve what we have achieved. A lot of times, we are almost afraid to let people know or see us for who we are, and that pushes us to become almost too perfect in the eyes of people. We do not want people to see our downsides. We do not want people to see us when we are not at our best. And we live life putting on this mask, this perfect mask, I woke up like this kind of mask, so that people do not know our true selves. We do not share our true selves with the world, with our families, out of fear that we do not deserve it, or we did not actually work hard enough to achieve it. We're only a fraud. It's a psychological thing, and truly it affects us all. If you ask me, as many men as women, Only that for women, it's more pronounced because it affects us not only based on our careers, but even in our homes. We tend to get worried that we are not doing the best we can. We do not deserve the children we have. We do not deserve the kind of beautiful home we have, the kind of fantastic husband we have, because we see a lot of men out there acting like, I don't want to call them names, but acting really weird. And this one that treats us right, that practically does everything a good man should be doing. And we are practically self-sabotaging the relationship. We are beating ourselves up inwardly and telling ourselves, I do not deserve this man. Why do you think you do not deserve this man? Some of us even voice it out sometimes, say, I'm so lucky to have the man I have. Why do you think that you're only lucky to have him? What makes you think you actually do not deserve to have a good man? So you see, these kinds of psychological and mental beliefs that we carry along and that affects the quality of our lives, basically, is what I'm talking about. That is imposter syndrome. I have been a victim of imposter syndrome, and I must tell you, I'm still dealing with it in some areas of my life. It's a gradual process. I don't think it's anything that's easy to completely overcome. A lot of us have had traumas, childhood traumas, that kind of molded us and made us begin to think the way we think, begin to see life the way we see life, which gradually led us to having this imposter syndrome. Being a perfectionist is one of the most popular reflections of imposter syndrome. Yes, that is one of the ways it expresses itself. If you find yourself being called a perfectionist or calling yourself a perfectionist, you need to check yourself, because there's really no such thing as a perfectionist, because there's no perfection anyway. There's no perfection. There's no being perfect. You cannot have a perfect body. You cannot have a perfect career. Everything cannot just be smooth. And heck, you cannot even have a perfect man. I don't believe that exists anywhere apart from God himself, the man upstairs. With that, so a lot of us are inundated with this fear of being called out because we believe that we have to be perfect at everything we lay our hands on to do. We have to be perfect in our scores. We have to be perfect at home. Our children have to be seen as perfect, well dressed, well behaved. We have to be well spoken. We have to sit down nicely, act nicely wherever we find ourselves. I'm not saying those things are wrong, but when it borders on you being excessively obsessed with being perfect, or you're dealing with imposter syndrome, that's one of the major ways it shows itself. When you're trying too hard to be perfect in everything you do, you don't want people to say you're wrong. You don't want people to look at you a certain way, to perceive you a certain way. That's imposter syndrome speaking or showing itself, reflecting in your life. Okay, so another way that imposter syndrome kind of reflects in people's lives is when people try to overcompensate, seeking for external validation. So they try to overdo things. They want to take up all the mundane tasks in the office. They want to be the ones that will clean. They want to be the ones that will do everything other people do not want to do. They push themselves so hard. Everybody has gone home. You are back there. You're still cleaning in your home. Everybody is sleeping and resting. You are there in the kitchen, scrubbing, trying to be the good wife, so to say. You're slaving yourself, even though it doesn't make you happy. Even though that is not really what you want for yourself. That is imposter syndrome. It's a mental thing, and these days we need to start talking about our mental states. Before we used to shove these things under the rug, but we simply did not know about these things. But now that we know, there's a lot of information online now, and that is why we must learn to use this information to our advantage to improve our lives. So if you find yourself overcompensating most of the times, pushing yourself too hard, trying to be everything for everybody and to everybody, check yourself. You just might have the imposter syndrome. And that's not very good, because you will diminish the quality of your life. You will not do the things you love to do at the end of the day. You only do things that please other people. Take all the mundane tasks that everybody's rejecting. Be everybody's maid. Be everybody's footstool. That is not what you were born to be. So why limit yourself because you want to please people? Because you seek external validation, you should learn to start seeking internal validation rather than external validation. This will help you. Blow your own trumpet. If you don't blow your trumpet, who will blow it for you? You have to learn to see the good things about yourself, project it, and let the world see it. Don't be afraid to show the world who you are. Because at the end of the day, you owe yourself that. You do not owe it to anybody, you owe it to yourself. So that's the second way imposter syndrome tends to reflect itself in people's lives. Okay, if you're also one of those women who believes that she should be a genius, I see this a lot in schools and in academic environments. You just want to be seen as the best, and you not just the best, but when tasks are given, you want to be the first to finish and you want to have the best scores. And when you do not, it hurts you deeply. You take it personal when you fail. When you fail at little things, in my opinion, when there's a test and you come second or you come third, you start feeling really hurt about it. That is definitely imposter syndrome. And a lot of us women really do suffer from this, particularly in academic environments. I have suffered from this a lot of times. And sometimes I just have to pinch myself and tell myself, okay, Annabelle, this is imposter syndrome coming on. You have to check yourself. And then I sit back, calm down, and continue again. But it takes a lot to deal with it, particularly if you've been doing it for a very long time and it has almost become a part of you. It's a challenge, but it is doable. It's possible. You cannot always be the genius. If you're naturally a genius, fine. But when you're pushing yourself so hard for people to say you're a genius, you know too much, you're better than everybody academically, particularly academically, or when it concerns your job and what you are expected to do in your place of work, my dear, stop, calm down, learn to balance it out. It takes a lot, because most times we do these things simply because we want to feel a certain satisfaction, a certain feeling of importance, and because we do not want people to see us a certain way, so we are always pushing ourselves. We drive ourselves so hard. You're juggling work, juggling the taking care of the home front, the children. You are doing everything possible just to be seen as the complete, perfect, accurate superwoman. There's more to life than that. I'm not saying you shouldn't strive to be good at what you do, but learn to strike a balance. Okay, so another way that imposter syndrome reflects itself is when we are unwilling to ask for help. I have been like that for quite a while. I am only just getting over it. This affects men and women almost equally. You tend to feel a sense of independence, that you do not think it is right for you to ask people to help you out, even when a task is difficult. If you are one of those people, independent women, Miss Independence, I am an independent woman to a large extent, but that doesn't mean when I need help, I will not ask for it. You should be able to ask for help when you need it. Yes, that is where you kind of like draw the line. You can't do everything. Learn to delegate tasks. That is why I was talking about being married and maybe you're doing all the cooking, you're doing all the cleaning, you're doing everything. No. And then you go to work, you do all the work for everybody just to be seen as the genius, the superwoman. Stop it. That's imposter syndrome, my dear. You need to learn to delegate tasks. You need to learn to ask for help when you need it. You need to learn to say, okay, I can't do this by myself. I need someone to guide me. You need to learn to have mentors. Don't say because I'm an independent woman, I know it all. You can never know it all. And people like this tend to take criticisms personally. Take criticism seriously. When people criticize you for a certain thing, don't just wave it off. That's not a good attitude. Take it seriously. Look inwards and check yourself, work on yourself if necessary. But learn not to take it personally. Learn not to see it as a personal attack. When you start seeing criticism as a personal attack, you've got imposter syndrome. There's no two ways about it. So that's it about refusing to take help from people, which is another way that imposter syndrome kind of reflects itself in our lives. The last way that imposter syndrome reflects itself in our lives is this expert mentality, which leads us to procrastinating a lot of times. You want to know everything. Do you remember there was this podcast I did titled When Planning Becomes the Enemy? I suggest you check that out. You see, this is a situation that you just feel like I have to have all the facts right before I launch out, before I take up a challenge. I have to know everything about how to write an article before I write an article. I have to know everything about how to cook egusi soup before I try it out. No, you cannot be the expert but if you do not try. A lot of us try to go for courses. It's good. Personally, I love to learn. I love to read, and anybody who knows me or follows me on LinkedIn knows how much I love to do these courses that come my way. It's good. It helps you build yourself up. But that should not kind of deny you the satisfaction or the opportunity to take up new challenges. When I started podcasting, I knew little or nothing about podcasting, really. I just watched a few YouTube YouTube videos on podcasting. I read a few things and I bought equipment. But to be sincere, it took my mentor, one of my mentors, Mr. James, to push me to start before I actually started. Because at the point I saw myself just trying to know and kind of procrastinating, not willing to take a step. You need to let that go. If you have a dream, if you have a vision, if you have something you've always desired to do, just do it already. You will fail the first time. You might fall flat on your face. Who cares? It's about you at the end of the day. It's not about those people watching you. At the end of the day, if you do not take a step, you might never take that step. Learn to not wait until you're the expert before you take the bold step to do what you desire to do. If you keep waiting to be perfect, to have all the facts, to have all the information you need, you will never do it. And my dear, that is definitely imposter syndrome. So, these are the different ways that imposter syndrome kind of reflects itself or shows face in our lives. If you've identified one or two things from what I've said as being an attribute you have, I suggest you don't beat yourself up. Rather, begin to be conscious and intentional about how you deal with it. We all have our issues. We all have it. I was dealing with imposter syndrome, and I believe I still am in some areas of my life. So this is a journey to growth for all of us, and this will make our lives better and improve the qualities of our relationships, of our friendships, of our homes, marriages, even relationships with your children. Some of us, our children are so scared of us because of our perfectionist mentality that they find it hard to even come around us. They hear you horn when you are coming home, and your children are scampering about, running to go and pretend like they are sleeping because mommy must not find them playing, mommy must find them reading their books, mommy must not find them watching cartoons or stuff. They must always be serious. Do not make life miserable for the people around you because you cannot deal with being seen as not perfect. It is not fair to yourself and to others. So we must intentionally begin to take steps to deal with imposter syndrome in our lives. And how do we do this? Now, there are different ways to do it, and I've identified a few steps or a few things that will help you deal with imposter syndrome if you've identified that you're dealing with it in some areas of your life. And if you're truthful to yourself, a lot of us are dealing with it. The first and very important way you can deal with imposter syndrome is by accepting yourself for who you are. Self-acceptance. That way, you do not see yourself as a fraud, even when you fail. You do not beat yourself up too hard, even when things are not working the way you thought they should work, or you expect them to work. Accept yourself for who you are. Accept your strengths and your weaknesses. Deal with yourself with love. That's where self-love comes in. I am big on self-love. I am big on loving myself. I have dealt with lack of confidence for a very long time, and until I realized the importance of self-love, I did not live a full life. And I think a lot of us women are dealing with this. Do not let what people think about you or what people say. When people say things like, you love yourself too much. If I don't love myself, who will love me? I need to love myself first so I can love the next person. So, self-acceptance, self-love, embrace yourself, embrace your inadequacies. You cannot be perfect. That is really important for us to know. Secondly, seek internal and not external validation. Many of us are constantly seeking external validation. Many of us are constantly seeking to know how people perceive us, and that determines how we live our lives. No, learn to appreciate yourself inwardly. If you think you've done good, pat yourself on the back, celebrate your small wins. Seek internal validation. External validation will come when it comes. But you don't need it to grow. What you need to grow is internal validation. That is really important. Don't allow what you see on social media. Don't allow the number of likes you have on a post or the number of views you have on a post deter you from being who you want to be or doing what you want to do. That is you seeking external validation. Or the number of followers you have on Instagram or Facebook. Like that adds any value to you. No, it doesn't. Really, what matters is how you perceive yourself. And when you do good, validate yourself first on the inside. So when people even try to validate you on the outside, it doesn't mean much anymore. So that's the second way you deal with imposter syndrome. Now, this third suggestion is very important. A lot of us women are not taking breaks. We are not resting. Particularly career women, you work so hard because you want people to say you are an hardworking woman. No, stop. Take a break, chill, relax. Sometimes, if you can't finish that work, let it go. Tomorrow, you finish up. I'm not saying you should be lazy. Do not be lazy. I am definitely not a lazy person, and I do not like lazy people around me. I can't stand lazy people. But learn to take a break. On some weekends, just chill. Don't beat yourself up too much. Go to the spa, relax. Take a walk. Go hang out with friends. Have a girls' night out with your friends, if necessary. Even if you're married, I'm sure you have one or two friends. Or you have your children. Take the children out, hang out, relax. Forget all the problems of the world. Because, my dear, if you break down and you burn out, it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't make you a better mother if you always break down when you're supposed to be there supporting your children. No, that is why you should put your self-care first. Your health is important. Check yourself. Go for the mandatory tests when you need to. Relax. Don't get yourself worked up and hypertensive. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your children. A lot of our mothers died of high blood pressure and hypertension because they were trying to be super women. Now that you know that it doesn't add any value to you to die of hypertension and leave those children you're trying to please so much behind, please take a break, okay? Promise me you will. Now, my last suggestion is gratitude. You need to cultivate the culture of gratitude. Learn to appreciate the fact that you are alive. You know, we sleep, we wake up, and it has become a part of us. We do everything, our bodies function, we move without thinking about it. So we don't even appreciate what it means to be alive. That is why you wake up and the first thing you're thinking of is, oh, I need to change my car, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I don't have money in my account. My sister, if you did not wake up that morning, would you be thinking about how much you had in your account. No. Cultivate a culture of gratitude. Learn to count your blessings. Thank God for where you are. It's hard, I know. I also deal with it. Sometimes I wake up really worried about stuff, but I just calm myself down. I breathe in, breathe out, and I tell myself, thank God that I'm even alive to even think about this or have these issues. At the end of the day, things will work themselves out for your good. Do not beat yourself up too hard. Develop a heart of gratitude. Count your blessings. Sing. Stop and smell the roses. Thank God for the flowers. Thank God for the birds. Thank God for fresh air. Just thank God, particularly with what is going on in the world now, the COVID-19 thingy. Thank God that you're still here and you're doing well. Don't let your troubles and your worries weigh you down so much that you now fail to live a purposeful and a good quality life. You deserve better. Let go of imposter syndrome. You're not an imposter. You deserve all your successes. You deserve all your achievements. You deserve all the joys. You deserve that good man in your life. You deserve those fantastic children you have. Stop thinking that you're only lucky. You're not just lucky. You're blessed. And you're not just blessed. You deserve it. Well, I hope you have had a good time with me today on the show. And like I said earlier, if you're watching me on YouTube, kindly like, subscribe, and click on notifications so you will not get to miss any other episode of my show. Thank you for sticking with me, and I hope that you will go out there and live your best possible life. This show is dedicated to making the world a better place by changing one woman at a time. Let's do this together. Let's get rid of imposter syndrome and begin to live our best lives. I wish you luck as you try to achieve this. And remember, I love you. Have a blessed week ahead. Bye.